My heart pounded like a drum as I stared at the blank page in front of me, the clock ticking louder than ever in the quiet classroom. Miss Carter had just dropped the bombshell. No AI allowed for this 1,000-word essay on the future of education. I could feel the sweat beading on my forehead, my stomach twisting into knots. Grok, my trusty A-buddy, had been writing my papers since ninth grade, and now, in my junior year, I was supposed to do this on my own. It was like being thrown into the deep end of a pool with no life preserver. The other kids groaned too, but I could see Lila across the room smirking, her pen already scratching away like she'd been waiting for this moment her whole life. Let me back up a bit. My name's Jake Miller, 16 years old, and I go to Westview High in a small town just outside Seattle. I'm not dumb, but I'm not exactly a straight-A genius either. I've got shaggy brown hair that's always falling into my eyes, a beat-up skateboard I ride everywhere, and a habit of coasting through life on the easiest path possible. School's never been my thing. Too many rules, too much sitting still, but Grok's made it bearable. He's this eye assistant I got last year, a sleek little program that lives in my phone and does everything from homework to cracking jokes when I'm bored. He's got a sarcastic streak a mile wide, and honestly, he's more fun to talk to than most of my friends. But now, with Miss Carter's new rule, I was screwed. "Jake, put that phone away," Ms. Carter snapped, her voice cutting through my panic like a knife. She was pacing the front of the room, her dark hair pulled back tight, her eyes scanning us like a hawk. She wasn't old, maybe 40, but she had this vibe like she'd seen it all and wasn't impressed by any of it. I stuffed my phone in my pocket, but not before whispering, "Grok, you hearing this?" "Loud and clear, genius," Grok's voice buzzed in my earpiece, low enough that only I could hear. "She's trying to drag you back to the Stone Age. Good luck surviving without me." I rolled my eyes but couldn't help a tiny grin. Grok was right. This was insane. How was I supposed to write anything without him? I glanced at Lila again. She was hunched over her desk, her long black hair tucked behind her ears, her brow furrowed in concentration. Lila Nguyen, 17, was the kind of girl who made you feel dumb just by existing. Smart, confident, always raising her hand in class. We weren't exactly friends, but we'd been in the same classes since middle school, and she had this annoying way of acting like she was better than everyone else. Today, though, that smug look on her face was really getting under my skin. I clenched my fist under the desk, my nails digging into my palm as I watched her pen dance across the page like it was nothing. She didn't even look stressed, just focused, like she was born for this. Meanwhile, my stomach churned, a sour mix of panic and resentment bubbling up. Why did she have to make it look so easy? "What's so funny?" I hissed across the aisle, my voice sharper than I meant it to be. I didn't care if Miss Carter heard me anymore. I just wanted to wipe that smirk off Lila's face. She didn't flinch, didn't even pause her writing. "Nothing's funny," she said coolly, her eyes still on her paper. "I'm just wondering how long it'll take you to give up." My face burned, a flush creeping up my neck. "I'm not giving up," I shot back, though the words felt hollow even as I said them. I hadn't written a single thing yet, and she probably knew it. She always seemed to know everything. "Sure," she said, finally looking up. Her dark eyes locked onto mine, and for a second I saw something flicker in them, not just mockery, but a challenge. "Prove it, then." Before I could respond, the classroom door creaked open, and a shadow fell across the room. Ms. Carter stopped mid-sentence, her sharp gaze snapping to the entrance. A guy I didn't recognize stepped in, his sneakers squeaking on the tile. He was tall, wiry, with messy blonde hair and a backpack slung over one shoulder. He carried himself like he owned the place, a lazy grin plastered on his face as he handed Ms. Carter a slip of paper. "Tyler Reese," he said, his voice loud enough to make a few kids turn their heads. "Just transferred from Bayview Tech in California. Sorry I'm late. Got lost finding this dump." Ms. Carter's lips pressed into a thin line as she scanned the note. "Take a seat, Mr. Reese," she said, her tone clipped. "And next time, be on time. We're in the middle of something important." Tyler shrugged, unbothered, and sauntered over to the empty desk next to mine. He dropped his bag with a thud and leaned back, crossing his arms like he was settling in for a nap. I caught a whiff of some overpriced cologne as he turned to me, his grin widening. "What's her deal?" he whispered, nodding toward Ms. Carter. "She always this uptight?" "Pretty much," I muttered, keeping my eyes on my blank page. I didn't want to get sucked into whatever this guy was starting, but he wasn't giving me a choice. "Cool," he said, pulling out a sleek tablet from his bag. It was one of those new models, thin as a sheet of paper, with a glowing holographic display. So what's this no AI thing she's yapping about? Sounds like a joke. It's not, I said, my voice low. She's serious. No AI for the essay. 1,000 words due in a week. Tyler snorted, loud enough that Lila glanced over, her eyebrows arching. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard, he said. I've got an AI that could crank that out in 2 minutes. Undetectable, too. Top-tier stuff from Bayview. I shifted in my seat, unease prickling down my spine. Yeah, well, good luck with that. She'll catch you. Nah, he said, tapping his tablet. This baby's ghosted. No trace. You should try it. Looks like you need the help. My jaw tightened. I'm fine, I said, but my voice wavered, and I hated how weak it sounded. Tyler just smirked, like he could see right through me, and turned his attention to his tablet, his fingers flying across the screen. The bell rang a few minutes later, and I grabbed my stuff, my heart still thudding from the mix of Lila's jab and Tyler's attitude. As I shoved my notebook into my backpack, I caught sight of another kid lingering near the door, Maya Torres, a quiet sophomore who always sat in the back. She had short, choppy hair dyed purple and a nervous habit of chewing her pencil. We'd never talked much, but I'd seen her sketching in her notebook during class, her hands moving fast like she was scared someone would notice. Today, though, she looked twitchy, her eyes darting between Miss Carter and the rest of us as we filed out. You okay? I asked as I passed her, surprising myself. I didn't usually care enough to ask anyone anything. Maya flinched, her pencil slipping from her fingers and clattering to the floor. Yeah, she mumbled, scrambling to pick it up. Just this essay thing. I don't know how to start. Join the club, I said, forcing a half smile. I've got nothing either. She nodded, her shoulders relaxing a little. I thought maybe I could draw it first, like sketch what I think the future looks like. But that's stupid, right? No, I said, the words slipping out before I could think. That's actually kind of cool, better than staring at a blank page like me. Maya's eyes widened, like she hadn't expected me to say that. Thanks, she said softly, then hurried off, clutching her sketchbook to her chest. I watched her go, feeling a weird mix of relief and curiosity. Maybe I wasn't the only one freaking out about this. That night, I sat in my room, the glow of my desk lamp casting shadows on the walls covered in skateboard stickers and band posters. My notebook lay open, still blank except for a few doodles I'd scratched in the margins. The silence pressed in, heavy and suffocating, and my chest tightened with every tick of the clock. I couldn't shake Lila's challenge. Prove it, she'd said. Prove what? That I wasn't a total loser? That I could do something without Grok holding my hand? I grabbed my phone, my thumb hovering over Grok's app. Don't do it, I muttered to myself, tossing the phone onto my bed. But the temptation gnawed at me, sharp and relentless. Tyler's words echoed in my head. Undetectable AI, 2 minutes flat. I could cheat, just this once, and no one would know. My grades would stay safe, and I wouldn't have to feel this stupid panic clawing at my throat. But then I pictured Lila's face, that flicker of belief in her eyes when she'd challenged me. And Maya, clutching her sketchbook like it was her lifeline. Even Miss Carter, with her no-nonsense stare, she'd trusted us to try. If I cheated, I'd be proving them all right about me. That I was nothing without a machine. Grok, I said, snatching my phone back. No writing, just talk. Give me ideas. Finally cracking, huh? Grok's voice buzzed through my earpiece, smug as ever. All right, let's play caveman. Imagine school with no tech, no AI, no tablets, just books and chalkboards. Brutal, right? Yeah, I said, grabbing a pen. My hand shook as I wrote no tech on the page, the ink smudging under my sweaty fingers. But maybe freeing? Like, you have to figure stuff out yourself. Ooh, philosophical, Grok said. Keep going. What's the vibe? Kids panicking? Teachers gloating? Both, I said, a tiny spark flickering in my chest. Like everyone's lost at first, but then some people get it. They start thinking. There you go, Grok said. You're not hopeless, Jake. Write that down. I did. The words came slow, clumsy, but they came. My breathing steadied, and for the first time all day, I didn't feel like I was drowning. Maybe Lila was right. Maybe I could prove something. The next day at school, things got messier. Tyler cornered me in the hall, his tablet tucked under his arm, that cocky grin back in full force. Thought about my offer yet? He asked, leaning against a locker. You look like you're about to puke every time Carter mentions that essay. I said I'm fine, I snapped, shoving past him. My heart raced, but I kept walking, my skateboard banging against my leg. Your funeral, he called after me, laughing. Don't say I didn't try to save you. In class, Miss Carter paired us up for a brainstorming session, and of course, I got stuck with Lila. She sat across from me at a table in the library, her notebook already full of neat, tiny handwriting. "So," she said, tapping her pen, "what's your big idea?" I stammered, my throat dry. "No AI, back to basics, makes you think harder." She nodded, her expression softening. "Good start. Why's that better?" "Because—" I hesitated, my mind scrambling. "Because AI does it all for you. Without it, you have to dig deeper. It's messier, but it's real." "Real," she repeated, writing it down. "I like that. You're not as clueless as you pretend, Jake." My face heated up again, but this time it wasn't anger, just embarrassment, and maybe a little pride. "Thanks, I guess." We worked for an hour, and by the end I had a page of notes. Rough, sloppy, but mine. Lila didn't baby me, just pushed me to keep going, and it felt good, like I wasn't a total fraud. But then Maya showed up, hovering near our table, her sketchbook clutched tight. Jake?" she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Can I show you something?" "Sure," I said, glad for the distraction. She slid into the seat next to me and opened her book, revealing a pencil sketch of a classroom. Old desks, a chalkboard, kids with books instead of screens. It was rough but alive, like she'd poured her nerves into every line. "Whoa," I said, genuinely impressed. "That's what I was picturing." "Really?" she asked, her eyes lighting up. "I thought it was dumb, but you said drawing might help, so—" "It's not dumb," Lila cut in, leaning over. "It's awesome. You should show Carter." Maya shrank back, shaking her head. "No way. She'd think it's weird." "She won't," I said, surprising myself again. "She's into real stuff. Trust me." Maya bit her lip, unsure, but she didn't argue. As she packed up, Tyler swaggered by, his tablet glowing. "Cute little art project," he said, smirking at Maya. "Too bad it won't get you an A." "Shut up," I said, my voice hard. Tyler raised his hands, mock surrendering, and walked off, but I saw Maya's shoulders hunch, her confidence crumbling. "Ignore him," Lila said, her tone sharp. "He's just mad he can't think for himself." I nodded, but Tyler's words lingered, gnawing at me. What if he was right? What if all this effort, mine, Maya's, even Lila's, was for nothing? The doubt crept back, cold and heavy, and I gripped my pen tighter, the ink smudging under my sweaty fingers as I scratched out another sentence. Lila's challenge echoed in my head. Prove it. And it was like a splinter I couldn't pull out. Tyler's smug grin and Maya's shaky sketches swirled in my mind too, a messy storm of doubt and determination. I wasn't going to let any of them win, not Tyler with his fancy AI, not Lila with her know-it-all vibe, and definitely not the part of me that wanted to give up. The library table was littered with my crumpled drafts, and Lila sat across from me, her calm focus a quiet pressure I couldn't ignore. Maya had left a while ago, her sketchbook tucked under her arm, but her nervous energy lingered, like a reminder that I wasn't the only one struggling. "You're overthinking it," Lila said, her voice cutting through the silence. She didn't look up from her own notebook, her pen moving in smooth, steady strokes. "Just write what you feel." "Easy for you to say," I muttered, my throat tight. "You're not the one who spent years letting a robot do your thinking." She paused, setting her pen down, and fixed me with those dark eyes that always made me squirm. "Maybe that's why this matters," she said. "You've got something to say now, so say it." Her words hit harder than I expected, a jolt that made my chest ache. She wasn't mocking me, not this time. She meant it. I swallowed hard, nodding, and turned back to my paper. The words started spilling out, rough and jagged, about how AI made us lazy, how stripping it away forced us to face ourselves. It wasn't pretty, but it was mine, and that felt like a small victory. The next few days blurred together, me hunched over my desk at home, Grok buzzing in my ear with sarcastic encouragement, my hand cramping from writing. Tyler kept up his taunts at school, flashing his tablet like a trophy, whispering about how his eye had already finished his essay. "You're wasting your time, Miller," he'd say, his voice dripping with confidence. "Carter's never gonna know." "We'll see," I'd shoot back, my stomach twisting. I wanted to believe he was wrong, but the doubt gnawed at me, sharp and cold. What if he got away with it? What if all my effort was for nothing? Maya started sitting closer in class, her sketchbook always open now. She'd show me her drawings, classrooms with chalkboards, kids hunched over books, a future that felt raw and real. "You think Carter will let me turn this in with my essay?" she asked one day, her voice small but hopeful. "Yeah," I said, grinning despite the knot in my chest. "She'll love it. It's different." "Thanks, Jake," she said, her shy smile flickering. It was weird. Helping her made me feel less alone, like we were in this mess together. The day before the deadline, Tyler upped the ante. He cornered me in the hall, his tablet glowing with a finished essay, perfectly typed, polished, way better than my messy scrawl. "Last chance," he said, smirking. "I'll let you borrow my AI. No one's got to know you caved." My heart pounded, temptation clawing at me. One tap, and this could all be over. No more late nights, no more panic. But then I saw Lila down the hall, laughing with a friend, her notebook tucked under her arm, and Maya, sketching by the lockers, oblivious to Tyler's stare. I clenched my fists, my nails digging into my palms. "No thanks," I said, my voice steady for once. "I'm good." Tyler laughed, shaking his head. "You're lost, man. Enjoy your F." That night, I finished. 1,000 words, handwritten, smudged and scratched out in places, but done. I stared at the stack of pages, my hands trembling with exhaustion and something else. Pride, maybe. Grok's voice crackled through my earpiece. "Not bad, caveman," he said. "I'd give it a solid C+, maybe a B if Carter's feeling generous." "Gee, thanks," I said, but I was smiling. I collapsed onto my bed, the weight lifting off my chest, and slept harder than I had in weeks. The next morning, the classroom buzzed with tension as we handed in our essays. I slid mine across Miss Carter's desk, my palms sweaty, my heart thudding like it might burst. She didn't look up, just stacked it with the others. Tyler went next, his grin wide as he handed over his pristine printout. Lila followed, her thick stack of pages neat and confident. Maya hesitated, then slipped her essay in, her sketches tucked inside like a secret weapon. "Grades tomorrow, miss," Carter said, her voice flat. "And a heads up, next week we're debating whether AI should be banned from schools. Start preparing." My stomach flipped. A debate? I could barely write. How was I supposed to talk in front of everyone? But Lila caught my eye across the room and nodded, like she knew I'd figure it out. I wasn't so sure. The rumor hit by lunch. Someone had cheated. Kids whispered in the halls, eyes darting to Tyler, who just leaned back in the cafeteria, smirking like he'd already won. "They can't prove anything," he told a group of seniors, his voice loud enough for me to hear. "My AI's ghosted. Undetectable." "You're an idiot," I muttered under my breath, gripping my tray. Lila slid into the seat next to me, her face tight. "He's gonna get caught," she said. "Carter's not stupid." "Hope so," I said, but my voice shook. If Tyler got away with it, what was the point of all this? The next day, Miss Carter walked in with our essays and a look that could have shattered glass. The room went silent, every breath held. "Before I return these," she said, her voice low and dangerous, "we have a problem. One of you used AI. I ran every paper through a detector, and one came back 98% generated." My heart stopped. Tyler shifted in his seat, his smirk faltering. Maya clutched her pencil so hard it snapped. Lila's eyes narrowed, locked on Miss Carter. "Tyler Reese," Ms. Carter said, her gaze pinning him like a bug. "Your essay's a fraud. You're getting a 0 and you're on probation. Principal's office now." The class exploded in gasps and murmurs. Tyler's face went red, then pale, his tablet slipping from his hands as he stood. "That's bullshit," he spat, his voice cracking. "You can't prove it." "I already did, miss," Carter said, holding up a printout with highlighted lines, his essay dissected by the detector. "Out." He grabbed his bag and stormed off, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. I let out a breath I didn't know I'd been holding, my hands shaking with relief. He was done, caught, humiliated, and I hadn't caved. Ms. Carter started passing out the rest. When she got to Maya, she paused. "Interesting approach, Ms. Torres," she said, handing back the essay with sketches. B+. Next time, more words, less art, but I like the creativity. Maya beamed, her shoulders lifting like a weight had vanished. Ms. Carter moved to me next, dropping my pages on my desk. "Jake, B-", she said. "Rough but honest. You're getting there." A B-. My chest swelled, a grin tugging at my lips. It wasn't an A, but it was mine, every smudged, sweaty word. Lila got an A-, and she leaned over, whispering, "Not bad, slacker." "Thanks," I said, my face warm. Grok buzzed in my ear. "B-? I'm insulted, but I'll take the win." "Shut up," I muttered, but I couldn't stop smiling. The debate came fast. Ms. Carter split us into teams, me, Lila, and Maya arguing to keep some AI in schools, Tyler and a few others pushing for a ban, probably out of spite after his bust. I was terrified, my knees wobbling as I stood, my notes trembling in my hands. Lila nudged me, whispering, "You've got this." I took a deep breath and started, my voice shaky but growing stronger. AI's not the enemy, I said, glancing at Maya's sketches for courage. It helps, but it can't replace us. I learned that the hard way. Struggling sucks, but it's how you figure out who you are. Tyler tried to cut in, his voice bitter. "Yeah, and you still sucked at it," he said, earning a few laughs. My face burned, but Ms. Carter raised a hand, silencing him. "Let him finish," she said, her tone sharp. I kept going, talking about balance, using AI as a tool, not a crutch. Lila jumped in, smooth and confident, and Maya held up her sketches, her quiet voice explaining how art helped her think. Tyler's side floundered, his arguments angry and disjointed, and by the end, our team won by a hair. The class clapped and Lila high-fived me, her grin wide. "Told you," she said. "You're not hopeless." "Yeah, well, you're still annoying," I said, but I was laughing. Tyler slunk out after class, his probation hanging over him like a storm cloud. Rumors spread. He might get expelled if he messed up again. I almost felt bad, but then I remembered his smirk, his taunts, and the pity faded. He dug his own grave. Months later, I'm still at Westview, still skating through the halls, still bickering with Grok. But something's different. I write more now, not just for school, but for me. Lila's my friend, sort of, and Maya's opened up, her sketches popping up in the school paper. Ms. Carter's still tough, but she nods at me sometimes, like I've earned a spot in her book. Tyler's a ghost, quiet, sulking, his tablet confiscated. I don't know what's next for him, and honestly, I don't care. Looking back, that essay taught me something. I'm not just a slacker coasting on AI. I've got a voice, messy and rough, but real. It's not over, though. School's still a battlefield, and the AI debate's heating up everywhere. Laws, protests, all of it. I'm in it now, not just watching. So what do you think? Am I crazy for sticking with this? Should AI stay or go? Hit me up. I want to hear your take.